Just give me liberty, or give me death.
My name is William Thomas Jr. We have a couple members of our board here from the Improvement League as well. Janelle Johnson, Henry Davis, Henry Johnson, and our longtime member Henry Johnson as well, his son in the back. Again, C.L. Townsend is a member as well as Ione is a member of the Improvement League. All right, so again, like I said, we're a nonprofit organization. It's been operating in Plant City since 1982, founded by the late Jerry Bailey, who was an educator in Hillsborough County. We mainly focus on a number of entities such as education, economic development, and a couple of noble projects in the community are the African American Museum, the Bing Rooney House, as well as the CSI, Junior CSI Forensic Science Program. We've got middle school, high school kids enrolled in the Forensic Science Program. It's probably one of the kind in the state. These kids attend and compete in statewide level conferences with professionals. In addition to that, of course, we have the MLK Festival coming up in January. That's a cultural arts festival we conduct. In addition to the number of entities we're involved with the city.
Money and redeveloping property.
Thank you. That's the first round, the first panelist. Now we go to the second panelist, Bonnie Carter.
And getting back to education, but from the perspective of funding. The issue of funding for public education in Florida is a topic of interest to many. The recent passage of House Bill 7069 has become a lightning rod for funding K-12 education in Florida. The growth of charter schools, both public and private, and the role of local school boards and oversight of them is a matter of great interest. Florida's level investment in its public education system is a concern to many, especially high poverty communities. Currently, Florida's per pupil spending is $7,178 for fiscal year 2016-17, which lags behind the national average and is only $100 more than it was a decade ago. These same trends are seen in funding for higher education. In the face of this lowered public funding, we are seeing the use of public funds for private education at all levels of our education system. What is your position on the use of public funds to subsidize private higher education programs? Also, do you support allocating public funds to private charter schools for our K-12 system?
I do not support taking public tax dollars and giving it to small for-profit businesses. They have one incentive, make money, where the public education system has one incentive, to educate and train the next generation of youth to take over and work in our society and pay taxes and make the world a better place. As I mentioned before, the state of Florida cut the budget for the Hillsborough County School Board by $154 million. They've been cutting the budget for school boards across the state, and they've been doing this for years. When it comes to higher education, students are going to school where tuition prices are rising. They are taking loans and they are paying massive interest rates on those loans. They are graduating into a failing job market and they are not finding good paying jobs so they can pay back those loans. We are enslaving an entire generation of youth economically just because they want to get an education. I have the privilege of knowing that I graduated without any school debt, but that is not true for so many students. And as an organizer and an activist, going to the University of South Florida, I meet students all the time that want to do more for their community, that want to give back, but they cannot because they are working full-time just to pay their bills and they're still in debt. And so when you think about the future of the United States of America, how can we see our society progressing forward, our economy improving, if millions of students are in debt, over $1 trillion in debt? And so I believe we need to protect public funding for education. That money should not go to private businesses that only want to make money. And we need to support universal higher education. Students need to go to school whether they can afford to or not, and they do not need to enslave themselves for the rest of their lives.
Thank you. Well,
if our memory not
not fair. Back in 2011, 2012 is when we started doing the new project about the charter school. The Republican Party thinking that could be a good option for the help and support the public education. And today we pay the consequence of that concept. As a Democrat, I can tell you, as a graduated from public school, I am against continue with the program of charter school. We need to continue putting that money back to the public education, to the lawyer teachers, and with no income, with no increase, with no better conditions of job, continue educate our kids. Our public school system proved to the state with the minimum funding they got, they give it a better education to our children. What we need to do? We need to stop what we're doing as an experiment, because that experiment already failed and cost a lot of billions of dollars. And we need to come back to support 100% funding to our public school. We need to invest money on the maintenance of the buildings, because they're failing. We need to take care of better program for our children, and we need to give that free education for everybody in the state of Florida. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, we mentioned charter schools. Charter schools are growing for a reason. It's because they're a popular choice. Only having the choice of public education, even though I am a product of public education, go East Bay, by the way, I don't know that Durant thing, I don't like that very much. But I'm also a product of public education. That doesn't mean that parents and families shouldn't have the choice to look at charter schools, to look at public education, to look at private education. And we talk about actually funding going into these programs, like I already stated, I am for increased funding to the public education system. When we look at things like private education, a lot of wealthy families have the opportunity to send their kids to private school, where we know that teachers are typically paid more, typically better resources at the schools. I want to take a look at doing something a little unique. Right now we have the Florida Lottery Program, the Florida Bright Futures Program, which helps students go to higher education based on earnings from the lottery system. I would love to divert some of those funds to help individuals that have bright futures on a lower level get into private schools. That's not utilizing tax money, that's utilizing essentially donated money from the community to help these individuals get what some may perceive as a better education. We need to look at alternative options besides, once again, like I said, just pushing for college. There are individuals that do go to college and graduate with debt, having no real direction, not knowing what they wanted to do in life, but it felt like the next step was college. We need to give them opportunities in the K-12 school and fund those opportunities with the current taxpayer money that we have, divert funds, and give them opportunities to really do something big with their life, instead of sucking them into a world of debt like Ahmad was talking about with no clear direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McClure.
The only thing that matters when we're discussing education is the student. And we talk and talk and talk about everything other than the student and getting them in the best possible position to learn. As it relates to charter schools, why would we not give this a chance? In Jefferson County, you have an elementary, middle, and high school that have been a failing school for a decade, if memory serves me right. A charter school comes in, the school board oversees it. The charter is brought in to essentially run it as if they were the administration of the school. The teachers stay on board. It's a public-private partnership. And the teachers are getting paid more as a function of the charter, taking a look at the budget and reappropriating the same amount of money. We're waiting for results on that first year in that pilot test. But I would argue this, when you have people that are motivated to educate, you are going to have a better result 9 out of 10 times. I'm in favor of charter schools. I'm in favor of anything that is going to afford our children, District 58 and the state, a world-class education.
Thank you. Again, I remind you that this is only the second panelist in the round 2, and hold your applause for the round as hope was over. Our third panelist has his questions. Mr. Coronado.
It was all in Spanish.
No hay problema. I translated for them.
I'll do Chinese if you don't mind.
Chinese, more fluent in Thai. We're going to go into the question on government. The role and the size of government is common in our lives. There are differences within our community about the right on balance what local and state federal governments should do. This applies to the area of personal responsibility versus to the public.
Just give me liberty, oh give me